My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Sports Check on this Monday morning. Well, it is the 9th day of December 2012 and you know what, we've got the Kakamega ICT hubs that are going to be launched today. We also have got the East African Community Interparliamentary Games happening. So lots of stories to catch up on and talk about today from our news perspective. Our diary, I can simply say, is fully booked. And just a quick update, rains have hit Mombasa this morning, so the East Africa Community Interparliamentary Games were postponed for a moment due to heavy rains witnessed this morning. But now the rains have subsided, and so we now have got the action going on. Dan Wendwa is going to be joining us later from Mombasa, giving us an update and the conversations with the parliamentarians from the region who are participating in those games. But on Sports Check today also, we're going to be having two conversations. One, about a sport where if you are not afraid of water that is in excess of one basin, and it is moving and it is rough, then you can participate in it. We're talking about whitewater rafting, and so we're going to be speaking with William Kinothia and Richard Ombeba, who are from the Kenya Rafting Federation. But right now, let's talk about mixed martial arts, and to be specific, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And we've got two people who are instructors, one and is senior to the other, but they're all involved here. And in studio with me, we've got Usama Ali. How are you? Good morning to you.
Morning. How are you?
Very well. And by the way, Usama has been in a mixed martial arts competition in Uganda. Kenya, why are we being overtaken by our brothers from Uganda when it comes to combat sports? They're doing more in boxing, they're doing more in mixed. They also have got their mixed martial arts series. What's happening there? And also, we've got Omer Jamal. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And Omer Jamal is from the neighboring country, Ethiopia. So it's time for me to tell him Tenestelin.
Thank you very much. Tenestelin.
Yeah, Amasaglano. I also know that.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, so let's just start this conversation here. And, in November, Osama, you traveled to Uganda and got to participate in a mixed martial arts event.
Yes, sir.
And just give me a whole idea, getting into MMA rather than, jiu-jitsu competition proper.
I would say MMA is very different from jiu-jitsu sport-wise, because jiu-jitsu you grapple most of the time, but MMA is more of a striking and grappling at the same time. So basically, MMA means mixed martial arts. You get to be punched on the face, so you have to be very careful transitioning your jiu-jitsu into the fight or the cage. So you have to be really cautious on getting punched and at the same time transitioning your grappling art into the striking as well. But talking about the fight, it was a good challenge for me. I really worked on the fight with my coach Omar here and my other coach from Nairobi Jiu-Jitsu Academy. I will say it was a big shot for me making into the MMA industry. It was my first fight and I got a title shot, which is the featherweight East Africa Championship. And I managed to pull it out very nicely, simple, and looking forward to the next fight.
But let's look at that scene, the Blood Warriors Championship that was in Kampala, Uganda. He fought against Samson Serunjoji and winning that, and he was a more experienced fighter. What were the things that you picked out from your travels to Uganda?
I will say, speaking of the fighter, I will say he's a good striker. He clipped me on the chin during the first few seconds of the fight. As you can see from the fights, either YouTube or any other channel. But he's a good striker, and getting into the cage, I was a bit terrified from the striking.
By striking, you mean the punches?
The punches and the kicks as well, because he first kicked me and then ended up clipping me on the chin. I almost lost conscious in a split second, but came back strong. And hearing from my corner that I should put my hands up and stick to the plans, I did as they said and stuck to the plan, executed my submission, signature move, Amba. But it was a good fight from both sides.
Uh-huh. Well, and when you see, we all know about people like Francis Ngannou and all the others and how they do their mixed martial arts. Omer, having coached him and being in his, being at his corner and seeing, all the action that he saw there, what were the things that, you picked up from that contest?
So when it comes to an MMA contest, most of the time, so Osama comes from a grappling background. We need just to fix a few things on his striking and his game plan. And we knew that his opponent is also tough, he's strong, and he's a good striker. Multiple champions when it comes to the striking games. But we worked on a game plan.
Because Samson is more of a kickboxer.
He's more of a kickboxer. He has an MMA background. He has a good MMA background as well. But and that's what is the team for. Nairobi Jiu-Jitsu and the other coaches plan and set a camp with him and to see where are his weaknesses and also where is Samson's weaknesses and come up with a game plan and then to provide such a show. He got the win. We knew what he is lacking and we are preparing also for the next. Samson was just a station for him. It was not the destination. Inshallah, you'll see Osama in the World Championship.
Inshallah.
All right. So when UFC 400 hits, we won't.
Soon,
we will
soon
be there.
come.
So when it comes, because I think they're now doing what, 3 something.
Definitely. Inshallah, he'll be the first.
It was
the first
310 yesterday.
Yeah,
the first
310.
Kenyan will be signed in the UFC.
Well, so you can see all their hopes are up there, and we can see that yes, the sport is growing. But the practitioners of, when it comes to mixed martial arts, the people who get into that cage and contest in it, they come from different backgrounds. You've got to have some knowledge of boxing, some knowledge of judo, some knowledge of kickboxing, and also their sport, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And before we get specifically into that, protective gear, just take us through what you have. We've seen the gloves that they use in MMA. They look like more of a cyclist glove. But how big is the protective pad that's around the knuckles?
I wouldn't say it has a lot of padding on it, but it's about 9 ounces or...
No, it's 4 ounces.
4 ounces. So it's smaller than the boxing gloves and more effective. If you get punched with them, you get a good cut on your face. So I would say they're a bit tougher than the boxing gloves where they have a lot of padding in them and protection. But there's a big difference with the other gloves used in fights. If you look at the boxing gloves, they're a bit bigger. So even if you have your guard up, you can protect the punch with just your hands. But with the MMA gloves, they're smaller. So even blocking, if you're a boxing fighter, if you just block the punches here, it can pass through your guard and hit you. So there's a big difference in between the gloves.
Okay. Now, and now let's also look at the mouth guard. And when you're doing MMA, you do it barefoot. What's the most you can do with your feet? The strapping that we see.
With your feet?
Yes. The legs,
you can kick with it?
No, I'm saying, the kind of, how much the straps or the bandage.
Yeah, it's not really allowed to have a lot of things on the foot, on the legs as well, for protection, but only mostly of the hands. Yeah, and there's a limit in each organization, whatever championship. There is a limit of thickness of what you need to cover or wear, or even taping.
Yes, and the other one that's standard is the mouth guard.
The mouth guard and groin guard.
And groin guard.
Yes.
All right, very well. So that means you're well taken care of. But here they are, and one of the arts they practice is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Omer, let's start with you. You coach him, and you're doing a lot of this martial arts. Yes. Just take us through, the whole concept of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Just demystify it.
So I will pass this to him because he started the sport even before me. And so, he when it comes to titles and achievement in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Osama can take the credit for that. So I'll pass the question for him, please.
Good. So I will say, speaking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, It's more of a self-defense martial arts. We have more of grappling, and then I know most people have been speaking about this, or you guys are just holding each other. I won't allow you to get closer to me and hold me, I will just punch you. But most men think fighting is just throwing punches and kicks, right? But you really have to know how to defend yourself in situations that you might get strangled from the back. Like we've seen recently in Nairobi, people getting choked, and just the other person takes things from you, or the aggressor takes your phone, your wallet, anything that you have with you, and you can't really protect yourself.
Well, but in Nairobi, when they do that, they have a block of wood here on the arm, so
Exactly.
they just come and lift you up.
It doesn't really matter if they have a block on their forearm or they're just using their hands. What really matters is you staying calm and knowing how to get out of that situation. In a few minutes or seconds, we might demonstrate the techniques, but going back to explaining jiu-jitsu, it gives you the proper techniques to, you know, defend yourself from such situations, especially with a 2 times bigger and much stronger opponent. So it's all about technique, leverage against brutal strength.
So, and leverage, technique, brutal strength. Just tell us, you know, how you work around optimizing the strength that you have.
I will say,
to make, such that you can use it against an opponent.
I will say for me, compared to other fighters, I might look smaller, but skill-wise, I'm at some level that I can handle your strength, I can control you, I can pin you down, I can choke you to sleep. So it doesn't.
You want to try?
No. No, I've got another interview to do after this. So, but can you unchoke me up to wake?
No. It only takes a few seconds for you to come back into, conscious. But thinking of it this way, I'm smaller than other guys, so I don't rely too much on my strength. I rely too much on my technique. As you can see from the fight, the guy was on top of me, trying to punch me. I said, calm. And it's something that we teach the kids every day. We emphasize, once either a bully goes on top of you, tries to punch you or tries to choke you, you can do such a technique which is effective to get the person off you and reverse the situation. So you go on top and you can control it. Either back off, run away, or just keep them in control and let the authority come, and then you can just leave them there.
And there are 2 sports to this, Usama, that I would like to mention. There's jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu.
So that's pretty much the same thing. There's Japanese jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So with Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it's an advanced martial arts. There's more techniques, there's more into it than Japanese jiu-jitsu. I would say Japanese jiu-jitsu is the same as judo. If any one of you knows judo, heard about it, it's pretty much the same with Japanese jiu-jitsu. They focus more on the throws and controls, like side control, sitting on top of a person, mount. And then Brazilian jiu-jitsu came about to add on the Japanese jiu-jitsu or judo, give it more techniques, giving it more moves from that art. So takedowns, you get more transitions into the takedowns as well as controls, knowing how to finish, knowing how to escape from those positions.
Okay, now let's take us through, the introducing somebody into this kind of martial arts, yes. Jamal, and what everyone needs to understand. We know it's a full contact sport,
yes,
and such that when you're introducing, whether it's the children, the men, or the women to it, what's the introductory process for it? So
since it's a self-defense sport and a very effective self-defense sport, and because a lot of people also think that jiu-jitsu, when they see a lot of jiu-jitsu videos, pictures, etc. I think it's everything about the ground, but also about the standing. Jiu-jitsu also starts from standing. So Jiu-jitsu has a standing techniques to take the person to the ground, to pin them, and then finish them from there. So they have 4 levels of attacks or defense you can do against an opponent. An introduction to Jiu-Jitsu is very technical, very nice, and very realistic. You know, it's not like I don't want to talk about other sports, but some sports are not really realistic that you can use in a real life. But Jiu-Jitsu as a self-defense is one of the most highest, actually, individual sport that you can introduce to whether kids, adults, or whatever.
Okay. You mentioned about 4 levels. Just take us, just through that.
Sorry? So the 4 levels start from the standing most of the time, because everything starts with a strike or a grip, etc. So by then you need to take the person to the floor and also to have control on them, which is level number 3. 4 is to finish them, whether choke them or break a joint or break something on them. So and the choice is on you. It depends what you want to do with the person, But also it's a good defense mechanism. So because sometimes you are being attacked. So if you pass through and train for all through these 4 levels from the start to the end, you'll be able also to get out from whoever want to apply that on you as well. Yeah.
Now, Usama, let me come to this. And one of the things that, I know people say, some may have said it, is that if you're a boxer and they know that you go and punch somebody proper, you probably are considered to be a weapon. Yeah. The thing is making sure that the original culture of martial arts, in this case, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is ideally for competition and self-defense rather than for offensive purposes.
Yeah, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I would say it's more of a self-defense art. With that, you can't just go around and start using it either to rob people, choke them to sleep, take things from them, or you go and start a fight in a bar, right? It's all about learning how to defend you and the people around you when anything comes up. Everyone thinks they know how to fight, they know how to throw punches. But when table turns, you start getting punched, that's when you know. I've focused more on Jiu-Jitsu. Going into the MMA fight, as you guys can see, I did my striking preparation, but as soon as I got punched, that's when I knew I need to put more effort into it. I started throwing bombs, hands all over the place, and I would say it was embarrassing a bit, but I'll try and work on it. Coming back to your question, for Jiu-Jitsu and other sports, it's so different. Jiu-Jitsu is so humbling. A guy can train either, I don't want to speak bad about other sports, but a guy can train boxing, karate, Muay Thai, and they think they know how to fight, right? You have to be a complete fighter. You have to be humble. If you start going to pick fights, you might find someone who's better than you, right? You go punch someone, they go to sleep. They fall down, they hit their head, and they pass out. That's a case, right?
That's a police case.
For Jiu-Jitsu, we try and emphasize more on, just the self-defense ways, which is learning how to attack, protect yourself, and learning how to control the person even before you submit them. So I will say, let's say someone choked me, right, from the back. I took them down. The first thing is to control them. Talk to them. Hey, relax. I don't want to fight with you. They keep on being aggressive. You still control them. If they continue from the second stage, then you can either submit them, which will make them, just relaxed and say, look, you hold my hand. It's painful. I'm relaxed now. Now they obey you, right? Or you put them to sleep.
Watch out.
Exactly. Or you put them in a chokehold. You just hold them, squeeze, make them sleep, and then you just leave them there. It will take about 10 to 15 seconds for them to regain their conscious, and they won't know what's happened. So they will just wake up and say, what happened? Everyone is just around them. They won't know what happened before they woke up. So we still emphasize more on just controlling the person and not submitting the person.
So you actually don't want to go to that level of submitting?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, the person won't tap for you because it's a street fight. Of course, you will break something.
They don't know how to tap.
Because they're actually committing a crime, and here you are doing it for self-defense.
Exactly, exactly. The submission rules come when it comes to training. So when you train, okay, he put me in something, and then training, not having competition. Yeah?
For us practitioners who've trained, when you get us in chokeholds or any kind of lock, we know how to escape in that situation. We know how to stay relaxed in those cases. But for someone who wasn't trained, you know, they'll get confused. Why are you holding my hand, right? I still have the second hand, I can punch you. But what they don't know is you might break their hand, either their elbow, either their shoulder or their wrist, which is bad for them. They start punching you, you get mad, you break it. And then if I reflect in other sports, as I said, you punch someone, they fall down, they hit their head, they pass out. It's a police case now.
They can actually, or they land on the wrong place.
Exactly.
You end up with a murder case.
For jiu-jitsu, you still have time to control them. It can be your brother, it can be your wife, it can be any of your relatives. It can be any of your relatives. You don't really want to punch them, right?
GBV, against violence. When you mention the wife.
Exactly.
So no fighting at home.
So you don't really want to, you know, punch them. You still want to control them while they still feel safe. So that's what jiu-jitsu is meant for, and that's what we teach at our schools, the Nairobi Jiu-Jitsu Academy, the Combat Brigade, and all other gyms around Kenya.
Okay. All right. Brian, my producer, let me talk to you. We can have Omar and Usama give us some little bit of demonstrations. All right. So, gentlemen, you can now come right here. And then you have told us that there are 4 levels to it.
Yes.
So we start with the stance.
Yep.
Yes.
So we're going to have a demonstration of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the 2 gentlemen here, Omar Jamal and Usama Ali, are here. So let's start with the stance, and you can actually give a description of it about how you stand so that people understand.
I will explain more of Jiu-Jitsu self-defense. Compared to other sports, we always have our hands up, and we're in a good fighting stance. If I'm right-handed, I keep my right leg back, my hands are up, I'm ready for a fight, right?
That's the orthodox stance?
The orthodox stance. If I switch to the southpaw, then I'm going to stand with my left leg back here. But in jiu-jitsu, it's so different. If we have our hands up, we're preparing for a fist fight. The other person knows, okay, it's a fist fight, right? For jiu-jitsu, we want to have our hands up to protect ourselves. Use the hands to, measure the distance in between us. If he moves forward, I just keep him away. So this is just for distance management and to try and control the person from getting even closer as I speak to them. Hey, relax, stop, do not move forward, stop, stop. That's it. Let's say an aggressor is approaching us, right? So let's say he's the aggressor, I'm the guy who's defending myself. If normally what they punch is the over right hand, they're mad, they want to knock you out. They're going to throw the over right hand, go. Here. For someone who punches straight punches, then you know you're in trouble, you have to just walk out of that situation, right? If they start throwing straight punches, go. Then it's another case here. It means they're trained and they know what they're doing. So going back to the aggressor, he's going to punch, stop, stop, punch, I clinch here. I want to go all the way and protect myself. And then going for a takedown.
Okay. So the sport is very close to, judo is the sport that's closest to jiu-jitsu.
Exactly. So what I did is called a hip throw, which is also taken from the judo arts. But now we go into more controls. After the punch, I go into what is called a safe clinch, and to stay safe here.
Yes.
He can choose this hand because I already grab it. It's on this side. So I'm already controlling his hand on this side. The other hand is already out of my way, which means I can safely execute my takedown and then control him. If he still keeps on being aggressive, I control him here and say, hey, stop, stop. His hand is here for me to execute it. I can easily go for the finish.
Well, I can see Omer already is from the art itself, so you're doing something.
It's a really tight technique on the elbow.
Yes.
If you saw my fight,
it's a joint extension.
Exactly.
If you don't
turn, the arm only turns this way, right?
Yes.
So we're trying to turn it the opposite way, so you can relate to this pain.
Okay.
On to the next technique. So if the guy gets closer and we're just arguing here, he pushes me, I break fall. I want to still stand up, but if I don't have my hands, he's going to punch me, right? So I'm going to manage the distance here and still come up. Hey, stop, stop.
That was quite a risky move because he went straight for his knee.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, instead, in standing, we use our hands to manage distance. When we're down, we can't use our hands because they're too far away from us, but the legs are closer to us, right? So if I go onto the knee, he has to step back. Then I can easily stand up and control the situation as well.
Well, lots of ways on how you do self-defense. And now coming into, competition mindset, just take us through how a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition would be.
So sports Jiu-Jitsu is really different from self-defense. Even the stance is different. When we start the fight, we go shake hands, fist bump, combat. We go here. We don't really focus on the guy is going to punch us because there's no punches or kicks in sports Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
So Coach Omar here is going to execute a takedown. Go for any takedown. And then he's going to control me and find any ways to submit me here.
Yes.
Go for any submission.
So there it is, a chokehold.
Yep. What is called a rear naked choke. If you see the difference in any other sport where you get punched and kicked, this is so different. This is a matter of, it's like a chess game, human chess. He tries to get, I try going for his head. He tries to get the grip away from me. He goes for the clinch. He takes me down, controls me. Any way I move is either on his advantage or disadvantage. So he's trying to submit me as well as I'm trying to escape and get control and submit him as well.
Well, and so we can see that in simple terms, okay, when you mention wrestling to Kenyans, we think of WWE, but proper wrestling ideally is what Jiu-Jitsu is all about.
Exactly.
Yes. So wrestling is a part of Jiu-Jitsu as well, because you need to take someone to the ground to control them and then finish them.
Okay.
So wrestling is actually a part of Jiu-Jitsu. So Jiu-Jitsu is well-rounded, even if the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has more of strikes as well. So you go striking, to take down, to control, to finish.
So the one part of it of Jiu-Jitsu that we haven't really seen is the striking. Maybe just a little bit of the demonstration of that.
So in striking, I would say, let's say, he's an aggressor. He pushes me.
It's a defense.
And then manages to go past my legs and I can't stand up, right? So he goes straight into this position. Let's stand this way.
Okay.
So he manages to go all the way up. Women can relate to this. They either get choked here, let's say, either in a raping situation or you're in an argument with your husband or boyfriend.
GBV.
So this is problems.
This is one of the case scenarios where we teach self-defense.
Yes.
So assuming you're in this position, he's going to either choke me. If not choking me, then he's punching me. So I still have to block my face. I can take a few hits, but this is what we do. Use my hip to bump them off.
Okay.
Keep the hands busy. I trap the hand. Thinking here, he still has the hand to punch me. When he goes to punch,
Oh,
I flip him over, and I can, as we said, it's all about controlling the other person, right? I can punch, I can do anything I want here, but I need to control him first, talk to him. Maybe he's my brother, we are in an argument, so I'm trying to just control him. Hey, relax, relax. He doesn't listen, slap, go back, right? Or I can still come up and keep a distance in between us. So
Well,
that's the punching case scenario in Jiu-Jitsu.
all right. And we already saw that you can, some of the strikes that you're using with your feet, where
Yeah.
you go for the knee.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, very well. At least you've seen the demonstration. And so, gentlemen, yeah, you can take your seats back.
Thank you.
All right. So you've seen the demonstration from Omer, Jamal, and Usama Ali, two, practitioners of the mixed martial arts. And from what we have seen, and let's start with you, Usama. What has been the response to people who've taken up this sport? Because we've seen, the activity, how, spreading the gospel around.
So I will say we've been spreading the word around for people to come join us and grow the sport, as well as learn self-defense. But it's I would say in everywhere around the world, it's a fast-growing sport. But here in Kenya, people still think it's a gayish sport because of the positions you're in. They don't really relate to these situations. So we've had a lot of people speaking about, especially with my friends, they've been telling me, oh, you just hold each other down. I'm a boxer, I can't let you hold me, right? I will just keep a distance and punch you. But if you get pushed on the ground, or if you trip yourself even when fighting, you fall on the ground, what do you do next? Someone comes on top of you, punches you. When you're on your back, you don't have that much power to knock the other person out, right? So you have to know how to defend or get out of that situation as a fighter. I remember my first coach from Mombasa, Coach Imran, was a karate 4th degree, I think, at that time. He got taken down.
Fourth
dan karate black belt. So he got taken down, or in other words, he tripped while fighting with his one of his students, his best students, went to the ground and didn't know how to escape from that situation. And the student was just marking his face, making fun of him, thinking it's just fun. To him, it was mental, like, I'm a 4th degree black belt and I can't get out of this situation. What do I do next as a coach? So he went on YouTube. I was, I think, a white belt, a karate white belt at that time. He went onto YouTube, searched
So you were ideally getting introduced to karate at that point?
Yeah. I started doing karate back in 2012, when I was 12 years. So he went, did his research, and then started teaching jiu-jitsu through learning through YouTube. And then he transitioned us from karate students to jiu-jitsu students, and which we progressed really nicely all those years.
Well, what a story that you've got to tell. Jamal, let's now come into this and for how you help. I mean, how someone progresses up the ranks in
Yes.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, for karate, everyone knows you start with the white, and
Yes.
the darker the belt gets, the better you become.
Right.
And when it gets black, they start giving you the
dance, right?
yes,
The
the
degrees.
stripes on the black belt.
Right. So in Jiu-Jitsu, it's a bit different, but it takes also a longer time. It's more of about time, but not a lot of people will chase ranks, but people chase to learn more skills, and the ranking will come. A lot of people fell in love or become an addict actually to jiu-jitsu because it becomes a sport of a game. It becomes a game for them, not even a sport. So it fell addicted or in love with the game. So it become like chess, as he mentioned earlier. You know, every time you learn something new, when you apply it, it works. Next time someone catch you in that, or when you escape, it's good. So you wanna do next. It's more of a transition submission games, which is beautiful. So the progression comes with time, and that's when your coach know you are ready for a promotion.
I will add something on that, on the belt progression. In other sports, most of the coaches nowadays, they sell the belts. So you find someone training karate, taekwondo for 2-3 years, and they have the black belt.
Yeah, but when you go to the Olympics, you will see dust.
which is really nice having the black belt on, but skill-wise, you start getting challenged either in the streets or in competitions.
Actually, it's in competitions where you get exposed.
Exactly. Yes. You see some of these guys being taken to big competitions, let's say like Grand Slams.
You're going for the
taekwondo.
You're going for the East African
World
Championship.
Qualifiers. Yes. And they get smashed because one, they rushed into the belts, and they didn't concentrate more on the techniques and trying to better their techniques. But in jiu-jitsu, it's so different. Like, you'll find someone refusing to get promoted to the next belt because they think they either spent 2 years on that, they think they're not even ready for it, for the challenge. I stayed a white belt for 6 years in jiu-jitsu for one reason. I didn't have a proper coach with me, a black belt to teach me. Mostly it was through my previous karate coach. We did our own research on YouTube, studied the techniques, and then just came into class and trained them on ourselves. Or visiting black belts from USA, Sweden, all over the world, visiting us and training with us. That's how we progressed. But you'll find someone staying for more than 2 years in each belt. And each belt has 4 stripes. So the stripes give you that motivation. As soon as you get your first, you want to learn more and more and more. You get your second. When you get to your 4th, that's when you take a short time to transition into the next belt, which is the blue belt. I'm currently a 4th stripe purple belt. They recently wanted to give me my brown, and my professor, Coach Omer, Coach Julio, which is a black belt at Nairobi Jiu-Jitsu Academy, said, we need you to compete in a few more international jiu-jitsu competitions, so that you can enjoy the victories before you get to the next belt. So it's so different, like, from jiu-jitsu perspective and other sports.
Well, it's good that you've got the background of karate, because I'm sure you've seen that. And from the competitions, you know, you can't go compete at, for example, at the African Championships. And the belt that you are saying you're going to present is bought. You will get smacked in the first round. Omer, let's talk about the competitions available.
Here and locally.
Locally and also internationally, yes, for practitioners of jiu-jitsu.
Yes, there are many competitions available worldwide. But if you come 5 years ago and today, and to see the sport of jiu-jitsu in Kenya, it's completely different. Even 2 years ago and today, it's completely different. Now it's very, very well grown here, not only in Kenya, but in East African countries. And you have an elite athletes like Usama and others that actually can compete, represent themselves, the country, the family, whatever. There are a lot available, but a lot of athletes needs a lot of support. and that's a message really to the local people, to Kenyans. You know, I'm Ethiopian, but to your people, you have a lot of elites, incredible athletes. They need a lot of support, and that's the thing they mostly lack. Otherwise, they could have been world champions. And it's time to raise awareness about that, because it makes a lot of difference for them, for the athleticism team, for the country, for the whole nation as well, for the whole Africa as well. Yeah.
Well, so here we are. So, for example, local, if you were to organize
Yes.
a local competition,
Yes.
What would be the whole setup for you? Looking at the numbers that you have and how you'd categorize them.
So it will be held with the same rules as international rules, which we already did, and we're still doing. There is no issues with it. But athletes need to improve and go worldwide, because that's where the more prizes come. The championship comes. You know, it's different when you're a local champion and world champion. So it's already there, but it's just time for us to come together as a community and support the athletes to showcase worldwide.
Professional, I mean everyone, combat sports now are going professional. For a long time, you know, there would be amateur, there are those who do it, but right now, just give us the opportunities for pro fighters.
So I would say I didn't go through the amateur fights, MMA fights, amateur. I went directly into my professional debut on the November 23rd. According to me, speaking about the federations or the promoters doing these fights, they need to really think of the fighters and not themselves. So assuming they were going to make more money into the fight with people buying tickets, streaming and everything, as much as they want to, you know, take advantage of the fighters, but they really need to give them what they need to progress forward. We have more opportunities coming up, but you'll find some of these promoters picking up their own people who aren't better enough than other people from other gyms. Just because they know this guy, they give him the opportunity to go fight in South Africa, in Nigeria, those federations, AKO. But the guys who are going there, they're not good enough, so they get smashed. Like some of the fighters here in Kenya, I won't mention names, but they got a chance to represent, and they're not good enough, of which it's their opportunity. We don't just go into someone's opportunity and crush it, right? We let them go, have the experience, but when they come back, that's when they start looking for us. Like, you guys train jiu-jitsu. It's an advantage in mixed martial arts. So that's when they want to come and train with us. But before they fight, we're like, bro, you have a fight, come join us and we'll give you tips on the fight. But they don't want, because they think they're better off. And the promoters as well, they don't support some of these fighters. Mm-hmm. So you find yourself just training, there's no fights. Even going into the fight, there's no proper support going into the fight. Speaking of fight camps, speaking of the accommodation and transportation,
Mm-hmm.
for this fight,
and the nutrition.
And nutrition.
Exactly. For this fight, imagine the promoters sent, I'm not trying to speak bad about anyone, but it's something we need to improve. The promoters sent the tickets a night before the day we're supposed to travel.
That's the air tickets?
No.
The bus?
Imagine we went with the bus. So
to
sitting
Kampala.
for, yeah.
24, that's a 15,
16 hours.
Yeah, 15, 16 hours.
In a bus, I was on a weight cut period, so I couldn't eat as much. I was just, biting on snacks. sipping on water. I couldn't eat that much. And then the next day, they kept us for another 6 hours to go on the weighing in. The guy didn't make weight, I made weight. They didn't do anything about it. And then even...
so it was more of a catch weight fight.
Exactly, yeah. And like, it's not a proper programming of these fights and taking care of the fighters, either going there a week before the fight to just get used to the conditions there, the weather, just the environment. You get relaxed before the fight, you get to experience everything. Going into the fight, you getting confident and comfortable. This is something they need to work on. Otherwise, we won't get a lot of fighters progressing into either the UFCs or these big events because of such situations.
All right. So now preparing because you worked, with him preparing.
Yes.
Because it was a mixed martial arts event, an MMA event in Uganda. Just tell us the mindset, because here you are, jiu-jitsu practitioners, but also you've got to make sure that he understands that a lot of kicking and punching is going to come.
And the striking game of it too. So we knew that his opponent is a striker, and we knew who his opponent would always want to strike, because that's his power. And we also knew that Osama also is a good grappler, and mostly, like almost 70% of the time, the grappler that mostly win in an MMA contest, because any fight most of the time goes to the ground. But our work was like how to take that person to the ground, and we worked on that. We worked also on his striking. He is no different than any other MMA fighter. We work on his striking as well.
His karate background helps, yeah?
His background showed something. It saved him, But the prep are not easy. It's not really easy. Forget about what his physique, but his mindset as a first pro fight. As a traveling, and I just want to say, because he just mentioned about the transportation, etc. But one day everything will pay off, and it will become a beautiful story for him to mention to the next generation. But yeah, it's a hard core. MMA fighters are not easy trained. Like, they train very hard. They train a lot of sports. They don't only one sport. You train a lot of sport, plus whether your strength and conditioning, plus you need the recovery times. Plus, you need to take care of your diet. So it's a lot of things. And that's why when I talk about sport, it's a lot of things, actually, to make such a successful athlete.
Actually, because you've mentioned recovery, because when I look at mixed martial arts, for example, when you do, for example, if you're a professional boxer and you get a knockout, they'll come and do a medical assessment and tell you you're not even going to spar for a month.
Yes.
The most you can do is probably run, jog, do weights.
Right.
But they tell you no. How do you assess the recovery times for him, for example, when he leaves a competition?
Yes.
Because MMA, unlike boxing, in boxing, when you get punched, you go down.
They give you.
They don't.
They don't touch you. Means
they don't touch you.
But
in MMA, when you go down, is when now they come down.
So I tell you an interesting fact. There are a lot of people die in boxing more than MMA. Actually, in football more than MMA. What I'm trying to say, MMA is more safer when it comes to headshots, because you're not always targeting the head. But when it comes to boxing, you always target is how to knock out someone. So a lot of damage happens to the head. So MMA it's a bit safer, but it's not safe. It's a bit safer. A lot of injuries happen, but the fighter himself, he knows what he got injured with. Most of the time the next day, because the first day he'll be like the adrenaline, he's not feeling anything yet, etc. But we noticed that, and definitely a week of recovery time before we come back to training has to happen if there is no injury. If there is an injury, it's something else. But what I meant by recovery is during the fight camp, during his normal training time, he needs to have recovery. He needs to have, like, for example, have a physiotherapy sessions to work on the injuries that happened to him, the tightness, etc., and so on. Not only that, what happened after the fight.
And making sure that that they are always in shape, and when you can tell somebody, given the the full contact nature of the sport,
yes,
and you tell somebody now, you go easy on competition. Otherwise, you can't keep breaking a rib every 3 months.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would say go easy, but go smart. When it's a competition, when it's inside the cage, that's it. It's time to do your best to take the win, to show a proper case, good performance. So to fight smart, train hard, train smart, fight hard, fight smart, I would say.
Well, very well. Now, Usama, you're going for after one fight, you've been given a title shot. MMA is quite interesting. I think in boxing, you'd have to go about 10, 15 fights before before you even get a national or regional title.
Right.
What's the option for you?
I would say for the future plans, it's to work on my striking stance. In this next coming weekend, on Saturday the 14th, I'll be having a Muay Thai fight at Adams Arcade, hosted by the Coliseum gym. So it will be a good startup challenge for me to work on my striking, as I'm working with Coach Omar, training Muay Thai every day, working on the pad work, combinations and everything. But going forward, I would love to have more of striking competitions rather than just rushing into the MMA pro fights or big events. This means gaining all the experiences I need on my way to the top. So if I rush the progress, then my record will be maybe going one. Right now I'm 1-0, right?
Yes.
But going up, if I rush the progress, then I'll either be at 1-10, losing every time because I'm rushing into the top category. I really want to focus on these small fights, either locally, East Africa, or also international. But the goal is to have good matchups, to get the experience and learn through every situation. It's not just about the winning, it's about how you win. You go in smart, as coach says. You go in with a proper strategy. You take some time off. So most of these pro fighters do at least 4 fights a year, or even 2. So they have so much time to recover and so much time to train on their weaknesses and strength, and that's what I'm really planning going forward.
All right. Now, Omar and Usama, when you came here, one of the things that you've said is about grappling, and the sport is about self-defense. And you mentioned about what in Kenya we call ngeta.
Yeah.
Which is where they give you the half Nelson. They lift you up.
He knows about the half Nelson.
Yeah, so that's a proper English name for it.
Yeah.
So they give you the half Nelson, and what happens next?
So if we're going to
Brian, can we see how you defend yourself from ngeta, properly known as the half Nelson? All right. So
if we're going to
let them come and do a demonstration, Brian. It's okay. Okay. So been told by Brian you can come in. Just give us the self-defense, Coach. You can come in. So who's going to be? Mwizi ni nani hapa? Nani Mwizi?
I thought Brian himself is coming. When you said Brian, I thought, where is he?
No. Brian is upstairs. He's my director. So just do the half. Yeah. That is now the half Nelson.
So it's called a neck choke. I will show you the half Nelson after.
Switch hands. So first things first, if this guy is holding my neck, he's the aggressor now, right?
Yes.
He's the Mwizi, as we said. I have to really understand what's going on through my neck, right? He's choking the veins. I can't really, there's no much blood flow or circulation of, there you go. So if he squeezes on my neck, I need to be able to breathe first. I'm going to hold his hand, tuck my fingers, and put my chin inside the hand, right? You feel the voice change.
Yes.
If he's squeezing, I can't really speak out nicely. So I need to get some space, pull his elbow down, lower my hip, lift him up, and then just standing there.
Good.
So if he tries to hold on, he's either going to go head first or he has to let go and pause his hand, right?
Yes.
So going back again, if he holds me and he keeps squeezing, he knows what's coming next. He's going to either pause his hand, so he has to let go. And right now I'm going slowly, but if I go in full speed, I don't want to go full speed because of the ground.
I still need to coach him.
So it might be too hard for him, and he'll fall on his back, and I can still submit his hand. So once again, tuck my hand, here, tuck my chin, lower my base, lift him up, turn, take him down. From here, I can control him, I can punch him, and I can submit him.
Well, there you go now. Coach, the half Nelson.
The half Nelson. So the half Nelson is a wrestling move.
Yes.
We call it the half Nelson. Mostly happen from the back. So half Nelson, most of the time.
Yes.
This we call it the half Nelson. And this we call it full Nelson. Mostly we use half Nelson in wrestling when they are most of the time in the ground, just to flip them.
Yes.
Just the other way, just like so, and have a control of them. So that's why we call it the half Nelson.
All right. So there's a half and the full, very serious choke moves.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you. Well, so there you've had it, and you can see the demonstration and everything. And the whole thing is, from what you've seen, then get the situation, is that it comes with the training. So it doesn't, so like you said, it doesn't matter how fast they are.
Exactly.
Because, you know, what to get the moment they lift you up,
Yes.
It's already tight, huh?
they lift you up, they've got a plank of wood here, and they're lifting you up by the time you're saying,
But a lot of people are not trained, and when they be in that position, they never be in that position, it's a panic mode. And then they start giving it up. But if you're really trained for it, you will not have that panic mode, and you will have the muscle memory to react upon you. If that makes sense.
well, you can see that he's actually a coach and he's really into sports. These are things that I always hear when I'm staying with athletics coaches and all that. They mention things like muscle memory, things like that.
Small details.
Small details. So thank you very much, Omer Jamal.
Yes.
Yeah, he's from Ethiopia. So today, having some great one, if it was athletics, would not be smiling like this. But I'll simply say, Amaseklano.
Amaseklano. Thank you very much.
Amaseklano. That's how you say thank you in Amharic. And for Usama Ali, thank you very much for being with us this morning. And
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the fun and all the, the demonstration of the techniques that we've seen in mixed martial arts, and all the best in your future fights.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We take our first break now. We'll be coming back with some more sporting highlights from the FKF Premier League matches played over the weekend. Our sign language interpreter this hour has been Lucy Waura.